Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another rendition of Frontline News. I am one of your hosts this evening. Um, we're also going to be joined by other hosts is coming on now. Let me pull them in. Can I pull you in now? There we go. What's going on, my queen? So good everyone. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Frontline News, um, where we bring you uh, news from the front line of urban America and beyond. And we have a great show for you planned tonight. We don't have our full cast with us this evening. It's going to be me and Yolanda holding down the ship this evening. But we have a great show planned for you because we actually have a guest this evening. And while we wait on our guest, we're going to go ahead and kind of take care of all the formalities and do all the housekeeping stuff first. So, again, everyone, good evening. Um, I am Brother Jason, also known as DJ J Rod. I need to
You want
come
me to
on here one day
introduce
with
you?
my controller, my DJ controller, real quick, and maybe come on real quick, Yolanda, and show everybody real quick. Do a little quick set real quick.
You
Play
look like
something.
you was on the start the show. What was it they doing this?
Put the can
Hairspray
can,
or something? Hairspray.
huh? Or hairspray. Oh, the dance and hairspray.
Yeah, don't do that no more, please. Thank you.
But
Anybody else on?
no, not yet. No, I'll let you know. I'll make sure that they our guest comes on immediately
I was
once
talking
they.
about Deron and DJ.
No, we don't have any of our. We're riding solo this evening. And I guess before I move forward, again, my name is Brother Jason, Jason Rodriguez, aka DJ J Rod, aka DJ Gemini, or Jay the Gemini, as some folks like to call me around the station at Radio One. And of course, our lovely host, former mayoral candidate for Baltimore City. Your next mayor for Baltimore City. We claiming it in Jesus' name. In Jesus, we will claim it in Jesus. We will claim it in Jesus' name. We pray. Your next mayor of Baltimore City, my queen, your queen. She's your queen to be. Look, do that. The coming to America. She's my queen, your queen, Miss Yolanda Pulley. Good evening.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. It's always amazing and great to be here. Um, I don't know, Jason. I had a quote of today. You have a quote for today?
No, I mean, um, I know earlier I had used the uh, on the Patrick Henderson's Meet the People radio show. We have what we're now calling the Patrick Henderson's mental moment, where we present a word and a quote that goes with the word. And I know today I have presented the word brainchild, um, and the quote that comes along with brainchild. And now you're gonna put me on Front Street.
Well, I can go
Right.
first. I can go first.
Okay, well you do yours first, and then I'll present brainchild.
Okay, the quote of today is: the only keeper of your happiness is you. Stop giving people power to control your smile, your worth, and your attitude.
Mm,
By Mandy Hale.
very, very, very profound. Very profound statement. Um, so I I brought uh today to the our mental moment that we had. I brought the word brainchild, and what brainchild means. It's a noun, It's informal, and according to the Oxford Dictionary, um, it's an idea or invention which is considered to be a particular person's creation. Now, I want everybody to kind of lock onto that. It's an idea or invention which is considered to be a particular person's creation. All right. And the quote that goes along with it, and give me a second to pull that up, because there is a quote that I want folks to listen to about brainchild. And it's just so profound. This quote that I read earlier today. Um, and just give me a second here. And we're still waiting on our guest. So we do have a guest today, folks. So bear with us while we're waiting on our guest to join us. And we have a powerful show talking about things that are going on in the community. I'm not going to kind of put the topic out there yet, but this is definitely going to be a powerful discussion once our host joins us. Um, um, and then, like I said, while I pull up this quote, but Yolanda, so first of all, how have you been doing, by the way?
I can't complain. God is always amazing, one way or the other. You know, through my good days and my bad days, my up days and my down days, my sideways days, and lazy days, and I won't complain.
How does that song go?
I had some good days.
You talk about me.
I had some hills to climb.
Go ahead.
I had some weary days
Amen.
and some sleepless nights. But at the end, I won't complain.
I know that's right. I mean, what's the use of complaining? Um, Especially if you're not trying to do nothing, about what's complaining you. It's like
Well,
someone who says, "I have a headache," but you won't go see about why you have a headache, and you won't go take an aspirin, but you're just gonna sit there and keep saying, "I got a headache. I got a headache."
that's what
So,
people do.
all right. So here's the quote. So, uh, why is it so hard for me to find this today?
Let me hold on. I gotta take this real quick.
All right, and just bear with us because we're also waiting on our host to come in. So we're kind of trying to kill some time while we're waiting on our host to join us. I mean, I'm sorry, our guest to join us. Um, but I had stated a quote earlier today, and I want to find this quote. Um, and I don't want to get the quote wrong, so I gotta. Okay, all right. So here it is. So again, folks, the word of the day was brainchild. Um, and as I explained to you um, about brainchild, what brainchild, the meaning, the definition of brainchild is. Um, uh, and just bear with me. We're gonna make this technology work one way or the other. Just bear with me, folks. And good evening if you're just joining us. So the definition of brainchild, according to the Oxford Dictionary, is an idea or invention that have been thought up or created. hold on. Okay. So the definition of a brainchild, according to Oxford, an idea or invention which is considered to be a particular person's creation. I want folks to remember that because the quote that I have that goes along with the word brainchild is that a kind person is the brainchild of nature. A evil person is the reality of life. It's just so profound, such a deep statement. You know, um, we often, I've done videos where I often talked about kindness and love, and um, that we're not born inept. It's not inept in us to be evil. It's just the reality of life. They've actually have done experiments with children, and have shown that children um, uh, uh, don't they're not born to be evil. They don't have an evil spirit within them. It's the realities of life as we get older that develops people uh, into becoming evil beings. But it's within nature. It's the brainchild of nature for us to be kind, and we need to learn how to uh, grasp on to uh, what has been given to us by nature to be kind to one another, to
Well,
be
I haven't
loving to
grasped
one
onto
another.
it yet.
And our guest is joining us, and that's I'm going to lead into that with this.
You heard
It's
me,
important.
Jason.
Huh?
I said I haven't leaned into that yet. That kind kindred spirit. I'm kind to those. Um, well, let me see. I show empathy and not sympathy.
Mm, mm.
So I don't know what that
That's
makes me an
interesting.
unkind person. I don't know.
That's interesting. Well, again, it's within nature. Nature has made us, or it's the brainchild of nature for us to be kind. And it's important that we do things that are kind to one another. Um, and that's what leads us really into this discussion this afternoon. Is that unfortunately too many of us are not being kind to one another, especially those that are the most vulnerable in our community, those that are the most victimized in our community, like, for instance, the homeless population. So, without further ado, I mean, this woman truly needs really no introduction. Her work speaks for herself. Her advocacy, her ministry speaks for herself. Folks have called her the Mother Teresa of the homeless. And without further ado,
Man,
we're
can I
going to
say
bring
some
her.
words of? Can I say some words
Oh,
about her
sure.
real quick? She's what the city needs when it comes down to that population. She didn't just wake up one day and say, "Hey, this is what I'm going to do." What she said was, "God gave me a calling on my life,"
Mm,
and then she only answered the call
mm,
that God gave her. And if we answer the calls that God give us, then guess what? That's what make us abolitionists, revolutionaries, advocates, and just like you said, that kind, compassionate person.
hmm
Um, I love working with her, but I don't sit on the front because, I believe in lanes. We handle, all struggles. She has one lane only, and she stays in it.
And she's been a true advocate for it. So, without further ado, folks, I want to bring in the Mother Teresa of the homeless in Baltimore City,
Mm.
Miss Christina Flowers, or should I say, Minister Flowers.
Good. Hello, guys. Hello, hello, hello.
I
Happy
love the
Monday,
hat.
applauded and hands up. I'm just listening to Jason because Jason, you have such a sincere way of introduction. You do. Like you cover all lanes. And it's something we shouldn't take for granted in the gifts and talents that some of us have, because just listening to Yolanda, she said what she don't have, then you have to surround yourself with people that can sow that type of spirit into you. Like, the more you be around people that can show you that kindle spirit, that can show you that gentleness, that kindness, that can show you that, the more that God will reveal it in your life that you're capable. Don't never count yourself out for not being able to have that. And I say that because, even as a married woman, I have a tendency of being so tough around the edges, just rough around the edges. And it really takes that balance of my husband sometime to let me know you don't have to be that rough. I got you. He gotta give me space to allow him to be that comfort, to be that gentleness, to be that kindness, to be that supporter. It's like you may never see yourself crying on somebody's shoulder, you know? When you, that could be rough around.
You're breaking up a little bit. We're losing you a little bit. Your signal's a little rough. We're actually seeing your picture fade out a little bit. Could you maybe just try to move around a little bit?
All right, I'm gonna come in. I'll try another angle.
There you go. You're coming back in there. Oh, you drive. So you're mobile.
Nope, you froze.
Yeah, you froze. You're out in the community.
One thing, well, I'm gonna piggyback off of what she said until she come back. The one thing that I'm honest with myself, and if more people were honest with
I'm
themselves,
coming in on another thing.
okay,
Okay.
people have to be
I
honest
can hear
with
you good.
themselves. Yeah, you good, you good.
I'm gonna switch you out. Now you were saying while we wait for this connect real quick.
Am I in better over here?
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. We're starting to lose you again. Yeah.
It got to be the area that she's in. Like I
Yeah.
said, if people start to be honest with themselves, who they are, what they are, and whose they are, then they could get a better understanding and grasp of who you're supposed to be. Um, I'm not that affectionate person, but that don't make me less loving. Just like she said, just like she said, it takes opposite attracts. So you're the good to my bad. You're the angel to my devil. You're the calm to my storm. And sometimes I need that balance because I grew up the way that we grew up because of what we always had to fight for. So, that don't make me any less lovable or loving. It just separates me from everybody else.
Yeah. I gotta
love that hat,
share.
Miss Tain. I love that
Yeah,
hat.
I'm feeling that hat. I gotta share this. I gotta share this story. So the first time, and I want Yolanda to share one if she has one. The first time that I met Miss Flowers, I'll never forget. I listened to WOLB easily. I think at the time, I think we were probably maybe close to 15 plus years in with LY's morning show, and I'm listening to the morning show, and I hear this woman, Miss Flowers, on there, talking about this encampment under the 83 overspan, and how they were getting ready to come in with the sanitation workers and the public workers and basically tear up the camp. and she was calling an all action call out to the community to come out, and to kind of be a front line, to these homeless people that had encamped right there underneath the JFK, right there next to Central Bookings. And I never forget, you really inspired me and motivated me to want to come out, if not just to be an observer, to make sure that these most vulnerable, citizens of our community aren't being victimized by the city's policies. And if I have to, in some cases, chain myself, to their tents, and stand and protest and not allow them to just walk all over these people. Um,
Wow.
and and so you really inspired me to come out there. And then when I saw you, you, first of all, you have a presence about you, to start with. But when I saw you in action, and how you were determined to not allow, these folks to be handled any way, to be treated any way, just to see, your compassion that you had, you realize the humanity that is needed for these people.
It
And
goes
I think
beyond
that's the
that,
first,
Jason. It
huh?
goes. I said it goes beyond that. The first time I seen Christina, I seen her on her live. Somebody had tagged me in one of her posts, and she was actually crying for these people.
Yeah,
And I was like, wow, that's just not, someone that's out there looking to be one recognized, two looking for fun. And these people is her family. She cared for these people. She love on these people. She do what
yeah,
nobody won't do. She'll eat with them. She sleeps with them. I mean, I done caught on live a couple of times about one something, two something in the morning out there
yeah,
with them. I done caught her a couple of times, like, what are you doing? Why don't you go home and get some sleep? She was like, I can't sleep. I can't sleep. And Christina, trust me, I get it. It's a many a nights that I lay awake in my room
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
trying to figure out how to fix our city. Trust me,
Yeah.
I get it.
What's interesting is that when I even, but that was the first experience to see her in action. But what was interesting was that, at one time I had my own bout with homelessness. I had a slumlord, and the slumlord was kicking us out. And one of the first people that I turned to was Miss Flowers, and Miss Flowers was willing to take me with open arms and make sure that I was okay in the process. Now we ended up finding another housing alternative, and thank God for that. But it felt good to know that if I was in them circumstances, that I know that the real care providers, and I know that the work that Miss Flowers does is real and genuine, and that
The
she's
name
there.
speaks for itself. Real
Yeah,
care providers. And one
Real
thing I
care
know is that
providers.
when I sent right, real care providers, and that name speaks volumes, and it
yeah,
resonates through me. So I don't
yeah,
understand, basically I love this lady right here
yeah,
because of not who she is, it's whose she is. And
yeah,
it's who she is in Christ. And
yeah,
it's who she is that make her do what she do.
yeah,
And it's not one person that I ever sent to her from the years that I've known her that she has said, Yolanda, I can't help. I can't do this and I can't do
yeah.
that. We get that from so much from city officials. So our show today, we dedicating it to Christina Flowers with all things homelessness.
Yes. Yes. Matter of fact, Miss Flowers,
Okay.
explain to us
You
where
know,
did you
guys,
get?
everything.
I,
Go ahead.
I, I was going to say, explain to us where the name Real Care Providers came from.
Well, I think it stood out when I thought about some of the individuals that I work with, some of the service providers that Baltimore City may not even ever heard of. They're not, they don't have the reputation of what the city calls service providers.
Mm.
These are a lot of providers that have built all different types of housing for individuals, alternative housing, assisted living housing, supportive housing. Back when Sheila Dixon was mayor years ago, when I started doing assisted living, I didn't know much about a mayor, of course, but it was just things that she was putting out. even with healthcare quality, that helped a lot of people be able to get grandfathered and do the housing they wanted to do, because there was so much policy and regulation in place that was hindering real care providers, people that really cared, people that took people in their home and opened up their own houses and services, and nursing assistants that wanted to do it at home. So it just really brought out real care providers to me. And just like Jason, what you said, like, every day, even now, and I've been processing the past couple of days, getting away and getting ready. You think about getting ready for battle or getting ready for what's right. Because when we think about this vulnerable population of individuals, our homeless, our underserved, it's like you got to be that voice. You got to stand up for them, because we talk about accountability. We're living in a city where we can't even have accountability for our children. So look at what we're getting out of our vulnerable population. I took 2 calls today. And, again, I'm kind of laid back because you know how you got going that mindset to get ready for what you're doing. Like, just to hear some of the stories of individuals that has to go to our government or to our state just to seek housing or to seek services, it's like it creates trauma. It creates trauma in families. It creates trauma in individuals. I'm talking to a mother today that's in a shelter where her son don't eat the shelter food. And instead of them making a little concession or a little leadway to allow this mother to feed her son, he ended up having to go to the hospital.
Wow.
And it really blows my mind how in a city like Baltimore, we supposed to be, taking care of these individuals, whether it's United Way, whether it's Catholic Charity. But at the same time, we have allowed humanity to put a cost on everything. We got people in these shelters 3, 4, 5 years, just keeping them in shelters when we're giving vouchers and other alternative housing methods to people that's coming from Ukraine, people coming from other places. It's like we're not having no accountability in our own city to take care of our own. Like, it's supposed to start at home, right?
Right.
So if it's supposed to start at home, what type of message are we sending a mayor, a government, or anybody if we're not willing to fight for our own constituents, our own people that live and reside in Baltimore City? Like, we got to think about that. You said a good word there, Jason, that policy, these regulations, the boundaries that are put in place with a population of individuals who just need a new start. It's like a hands up, not a hands out. And we got shelters. If you come into our shelter, you can't work. You can't provide for your family. So one of the things that I see, the lack of accountability, is just the way that we allow the system to deal with our vulnerable people, to deal with the homeless people, because somewhere along the way, if enough of us said enough is enough, these individuals wouldn't be under the bridge, living in the woods because of a regulation or a rule that's put in place. We would have leaders, or we would have administrators in place that would be willing to fight for the good. We're supposed to be willing to fight for the good. What are we
Exactly.
fighting for? What are we fighting for in our city if we can't see the betterment of another mankind or the next people?
Mm. You
Just
know what? You
because
gave
you're
me
not homeless,
goosebumps, Christina. You gave me goosebumps.
Yeah.
yeah, we might be, it just really been, my mind is fresh. I done been out, it's fresh because it's like, where do we get off thinking that we shouldn't stand up for a population of people that people can consider beneath us? Look at our
Right.
children. Like, how can we even be comfortable in a city where people are trying to deprive our children of their education?
Mm.
Like we should never be comfortable not wanting to stand up, not wanting to make some noise, disturb somebody's flow. Because sometimes
or
if
hurt
you
some
feel
feelings. Hurt some
yeah,
feelings.
sometimes you
Yeah.
gotta hurt some
What,
feelings. You right.
what does Dr. King tell us? Man can't ride your back if you ain't bent over. You got to stand
Yeah,
up.
it's really sad, and when we discussed this, Friday, our mayor was down on Fallsway, one of the most popular homeless areas ever. And then my guys was on the phone. They like calling me. They like, what should we do? Should we lean on them? Should we this? I said, no, just let them know where you live at. I said, don't be disrespectful. Let him know where you live at. Let him know, hey, we live out here.
Yeah.
Let
Yeah.
him know this because as much as we want to give individuals the mayor, whether it's individuals that are called to be searched, you know what?
You're starting to you're starting to break up again because you're moving around.
And sometimes we got to get extreme with making people uncomfortable. Because if you feel like our homeless individuals, just because their story don't hit your desk, you
Why should it have to
appoint
hit your desk?
people.
That's the thing.
You appoint people to take care of them. You have homeless services, you have school administrators. So these are what we're supposed to do. Why do we have a mayor that would be challenged to make a decision to fire somebody if they're not doing their job? If you telling me I'm cleaning the streets, I'm getting homeless people off the streets, and soon as I go in public, I got a group of guys coming at me telling me I'm on the streets. The first thing I say is get all of their numbers, and I will sit their names right on our homeless service director desk. Like,
Yeah,
what's up
like
with
why am
these
I
kids?
getting this? Why is this
Why
coming
am
to
I
me?
getting this? Why if I go out in public, people want to attack me about homelessness if y'all doing such a good job?
Right. Another thing,
So
why we don't have a mayor that's willing to stand out there with us against certain things? Why I have never seen a mayor sleep outside with homeless people and say, you know what, I understand your pain. I
Right.
understand this because now I'm going through it
yep.
with you.
And when
And you
Right.
you
gotta
Google
understand,
that,
Christina.
Yolanda, you can Google that story. It's two mayors. If you Google it,
And I'm talking about
it's
here.
two mayors that went to that degree and slept in the shelter. One of them, as soon as he got back to work Monday morning, he terminated a lot of people out of homeless service.
Exactly.
Oh, that's right.
He fired a lot of people. So somewhere
Exactly.
along the way, I see what's happening. They hire people based on relationships and favor. I'll give your son a job. I'll give your niece a job. But they don't want to terminate them based on the fact that they are underserving our people.
Yeah.
But what is the
You
key?
get,
What is the key thing? What is the key piece when you become an elected official? What are you?
you're supposed to be a servant to the
A
people.
public servant.
A public
Right.
servant to the people.
Right.
But how you being a public servant when you won't even respond to people emails, you won't respond to people requests to meet you to discuss some of the critical issues that's going on in your streets.
And I
Right.
You know,
think that they
they're
fail to realize when we make when we do what we do, we make you look good.
yeah, it's basically
You can take the
what we
credit.
do
You can
and
take the
yourself
credit. We
too.
just want the solution.
Yeah, just
Right.
like yourself. Like the things that you and Jason do. Dealing with still vulnerable people, dealing with seniors, going to people's houses, making sure they have food. These are the things that the mayor has appointed agencies to do. But the agencies don't have an urgency or an eagerness to address these issues that may be too
Yeah.
small for them.
Talking about eagerness and lack of expedient,
Urgency.
right,
No
urgency,
urgency.
right, a sense of urgency. I was speaking to a former mayor today, just more than a couple of hours ago, that was talking about the money that's supposed to be allocated for eviction services and how, she's been getting complaints in reference to just the lack of urgency of trying to get these tenants assistance and help, especially the ones that show that they really need the help and have no other resource, to get help with eviction prevention. But she
Well,
said,
Jason, I battle with that every day, so I know
yeah,
she's not lying.
yeah,
Because I always have to make certain phone calls, find out why is there a lack of urgency when it comes down to this. But see, Christina's job is the homeless, and see, this is why our lanes start to come into one. Because my job is to prevent homelessness. And sometimes a lot of people slip through the cracks and they have to go to Christina. But then when they come to me, who do I send them to? Christina.
yeah, yeah.
I'm
It's
sorry I have
interesting.
to. I'm sorry I have to, Christina, but I don't trust
It becomes
everybody
a
with
major.
our
It
people.
becomes well. The biggest thing we got to do is definitely to thank God first of all, because He equip us and He give us the ability to do the things we do. Like, just like people may figure, we might not have certain funding, we might not have certain support, we may not have people in our corner helping us. But when it comes to vulnerable population, our homeless, our seniors, we got to really thank God for giving us the ability to do what we can do.
Wait a
Yeah,
minute,
Like
Christina, I got a question for you.
I was overwhelmed, and I think you've been there. It's been times when I've been really overwhelmed. Like, God, what do you expect me to do? And God had to teach me over the seasons, just do what you do. Let me handle the rest.
But I have a
Because,
question for you, Christina.
oh yeah, go for it.
How much funding do you get?
Zero,
How much funding
none,
do I get?
zero, none.
So how is it that we can make it work with no
God,
money, but
God,
they
I just
can't make it work with millions?
right,
listen.
right.
We only thing we got to do is thank God for our health, our strength,
That's who
our
did it.
compassion.
Yep.
Yolanda, your compassion. Sometimes our compassion and our gentleness and our kindness come out better when we're serving others, when we're taking care of people that we know
Yep.
God has called us to take care of. And
Yep.
then we get kind of short patience and have low tolerance for people that do things, and we feel like, you should do better or you should know
Yeah.
better. Just like me as a minister, you know I had to stop looking at other clergy. I had to stop looking at bishops and pastors and preachers. I had to stop looking at them like, just because I came a minister, oh, we all got the same desire to please Jesus, right? Or to do what God would have us do. But unfortunately, I had to learn the hard way to embrace what God has given me. He may not have given them that desire.
Yeah.
He may
Yeah.
gave them a desire. He gave them a desire to be a realtor. He
Right.
gave them a desire to build houses or do something else.
But you should have the passion when it comes to especially our homeless population to at least have some human compassion, some
It's in the
human
Bible.
decency.
It's in the
Right,
Bible.
right.
It said the poor
It's a
will be
biblical.
with
It's
us
a biblical.
always.
Yeah.
What you have to say is everything is biblical when it comes to humanity, but at the same time, we don't have a lot of clergy that seeks to equip. And when I say equip, Yolanda, if
Mm.
we if
You're breaking up again.
we need $300-400 to rent this person a room. We should be able to go to clergy and ask them for solutions and to ask them for support. We should be able to go into church before we can go in City Hall and get support.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's what makes it, I think, even more damning especially to the city of Baltimore, is that they said one time you have over 4,000 churches, a church on every corner, but yet you still see the situations that we're dealing with in reference to homelessness in this city. What would Jesus do? If Jesus had a temple, if Jesus had a mosque, if Jesus had a church,
But
I believe
Jason,
that the
it's
doors
in
would
the
be open
Bible.
to all.
It's in the book. And how long has that book been in existence? It tells you. So a mayor, a clergyman, a pastor, a bishop have no excuse not to
Yeah.
pay homeless
Yeah,
any attention, because it says the poor will be with us always.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Miss Flowers. Let's look at something here, right? Because first of all, we always gonna keep God, we always gonna keep Christ in this picture. But I want to take
Oh yeah.
Christ out just for a second here, all right?
Oh, we did. We
Let's
take
let's
Christ
look
out.
at
We done. We done.
right. We always gonna lead with Christ. We always gonna lead with Christ and God first. But I want to just play the devil's advocate here, right? Let, let's
Oh,
let's
you want
remove let's remove the fact that this is something that we should be doing because we are children of God, right? Let's look at the human aspect, the human right aspect of it. Just recently, and I want to share something with the community. Just recently, me and Yolanda doing some research in reference to housing as a right, found out that the UN has an international Bill of Rights. And in that charter, in that international Bill of Rights, housing is considered to them to be a human right, a human right.
Wow.
Now
Wow.
I'm gonna read real quick, right? It says that one of the core of the UN's action is to prevent and promote human rights and fundamental freedoms in this international Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights consists of three components: a Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which was created in 1948, and
Uh huh.
international covenants on economics, social, and cultural rights. That was forged in 1966, and an international covenants on civil and political rights, and that was forged in 1966. All right, so we're talking about back in 19 starting from 1950s to 1960s. The UN recognized that there is this international Bill of Rights, and in this covenant, they talk about social justice, civil rights justice, political justice, housing justice, all these things as a human right. According to the UN and the charter, and I'm just going to paraphrase, they're basically telling the international community that you cannot have life without housing. You,
Uh,
you, you cannot have freedom without housing. You cannot live within humanity without housing. So for them, housing is a right. How come we haven't adopted that policy, especially here
And
in the
wait a minute,
local
Jason, you
politics
forgot the
of
most
Baltimore
important part.
City? How come we haven't adopted housing as a human right in
Wait a minute,
Baltimore?
wait a minute, wait a minute. First of all, it have some aspects, and see, it tells you in those papers that one, it has to be in every city in every country, and it's just that the problem is, Christina, I think it's time for us to go and do this. Maybe that's what our battle is. Maybe we're fighting the battle at the wrong place. Maybe we need
Right,
to be going to the UN
right,
and making them do their job in our
right.
city.
File a claim within the UN.
sometime I
File a
believe you're
claim
right.
within the UN on the behalf of the homeless population that Baltimore City is guilty of violation of international
Housing,
Bill of
period.
Rights.
They in violation of
But see,
housing,
make sure you send
period.
me that. That's interesting because even housing our neighbors and other organizations that stand for housing, like almost like advocating with limitations. And this is what I mean when I say that. And I say that not only with homelessness, but a lot of groups in our city, they advocate with limitations.
Mm-hmm.
And what are those limitations? Sometimes they receiving funding from the
Mhm.
city. Sometimes those limitations are they have self agendas. Sometimes those limitations are they are building a platform or their resume up and they forget. When you start advocating a situation, everybody that you call an advocate can't be an advocate. Everybody that they call themselves an activist can't be an activist. Because when you think about that, you are advocating like for freedom, for rights, for justice. You know, just like what Ben Crump just said when he came here to Baltimore City. This is not just a civil rights what they're doing to the children, but it's a human right.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
how do we as individuals see ourselves as justified when people are living in the woods because of things on their record? People living under these bridges and living in remote places just because they're fearful of dealing with a system that has discriminated against
Mm,
them, that
mm.
has traumatized them, that has hindered them just from being able to access housing.
Well,
Just like
Christine, I
when
got
they,
something for you. How
uh-huh.
hard is it for a parent to get a child up and have a productive day in school if they, one, don't have stable housing, two, they don't have food, and three, they don't have security to walk through the neighborhoods, which, housing under the HUD code rules and regulations, it says that we are required to have safe, decent, and livable housing. It didn't say
Yes,
for some. It did not say for just
a
Yolanda or
portion of
Christina or
30%. Yep,
Jason. It says for all.
for all.
And everybody is forgetting that for all piece. You see this on the screen, Christina? This is what we
I see
talking
that. I
about.
want to make sure I see that, and I want you guys to send that to me because a
Yeah.
lot of times when we are fighting something in one city or one state, it's a city or state somewhere that has achieved some victory in the
Mm.
things that we're fighting for.
Wait a minute, listen
I
to this
mean,
right here. It say the United Nations Committee on Economic, Social, Cultural Rights has underlined that the right to adequate housing should not be interpreted narrowly. Rather, it should be seen as the right to live somewhere in security, peace, and dignity. The
yeah,
characteristics of the rights to adequate housing are clarified mainly in the committee general comments number 4, 1991 on the rights of adequate housing, and number 7, 1997 on forced evictions. We're not following the blueprint, Christina, because
there
we
you
should have
go.
been went to the United Nations and told them that Baltimore City is under these violations.
Right.
There you go.
Right. Right.
That's why I
Matter of
said
Basic
fact, it
make
ain't
human
even just
laws,
Baltimore City.
human right
It's
make
laws.
sure
Maryland,
make sure
period,
make sure you
under the
send me make
housing
sure you
code.
send me that. Make sure you send me that, Yolanda. I want to print it out because you just made a whole piece of what we're talking about to make sense. Because again, if we're practicing things that are causing more harm to individuals, it causes people a lot of harm. Do you know the trauma that these families are dealing with? The
All
young
day, every
lady that
day.
called me, the young lady that called me today had to take her son to the hospital just because the shelter won't allow her to bring in the type of food that he eats. Like, you're gonna put things publicly out there that people needs are being met and we're helping them, but at the same time, these are the instances that we're dealing with every day. Nobody's ringing certain phones on certain days. I just got a call about 10 minutes ago. You know, we have a disabled woman in a wheelchair and her son. Like, wow, where's the
And I,
emergency at? Because as soon as
yeah,
they
we're
called, I
such an
told them to
urgency.
call.
Yeah. Yeah.
I told them to call 211, and the first thing they started talking about was her 18-year-old son, which is a mama's boy now. He take care of his mother in a wheelchair. Her 18-year-old son would have to go to a different shelter than her.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. You know what's so
So what kind of
profound?
sense? What
Yeah.
kind of sense does that make?
Yeah.
You want this lady to put her passive, price sensitive son in an environment with killers. because people have killed people in the shelter.
Yeah.
And raped.
Yeah.
And raped and a
Yeah.
lot of other things. Yes. The
Yeah.
shelter is not always the safest place where you want to put individuals that could be vulnerable.
Yeah.
I got a call today about
But
a transgender.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah. But
everybody,
when you
it's in everybody area. And you know what makes it worse? We got all of these programs in Baltimore City, and the programs themselves are complaining. They're underfunded. They don't have the opportunity to service the individuals that may not meet their criteria.
yeah.
So
and
they
and
too are advocating with limit. That's what you call advocates with
yeah.
limitations.
Yeah.
Mm.
They're advocates that can't say too much because they take a paycheck from City Hall or
Yeah.
somebody writing them money
Well, that's
and,
their
and,
fault,
and making this
Christina.
a
Right,
problem.
right, right. You make such a profound statement, and I have to go back to what you just experienced over this winter. Trying to find simple solutions for our
Simple.
homeless population that had set back up underneath the same place almost, the JFK
Yep.
overpass, and you ended up losing several women. Several women ended up
Yeah,
dying
no urgency. We
over
lost,
this.
hey, and Jason, we lost two elderly women back to back. Like
Yeah,
one was that Thursday, one was that Friday. You
yeah,
think somebody would have made a decision? Let's get these individuals from under this bridge. You think somebody came
yeah.
down there and cared 2 cents
What,
about these two individuals that
what,
died outside?
right. What's crazy is that when that happened, our organization. First of all, we saw your video and we were brokenhearted. I mean, because
It
you
was
were
horrible.
literally crying. You were crying because you had lost another homeless person, and you had just threw your hands up to Jesus and couldn't take it anymore. And so me and Yolanda decided to try to take action on it, and we tried to get involved, and we called the mayor's office to try to get some resolution. And we were told that because of the city solicitor, the current city solicitor, that the city didn't want the liability in the homeless shelter because of COVID. And unfortunately, the city had no solution to get these folks some adequate shelter and get them out of the cold elements so that they wouldn't die from hypothermia. They
They
had
had
no
no
solution.
they had no solution. They had no trauma. No urgency. They showed no compassion.
And you're breaking up again.
Women at that.
Yeah. And you
I
had
think I'm
what's
back.
crazy is you had a temporary solution. You had reached out to the grassroots community, the frontliners, and we were willing to come in and help you. And what the plan was for the winter was to move the tents into either the recreational centers that were closed
Yes.
down or into one of the cold blue shelters, and we would monitor it. We would provide the wraparound services to get the tents from out of the cold elements and at least move them into a facility that was warm out of the elements. And the city would not even compromise with
You
that.
know what they
And
told
we
us?
ended up with a second homeless person dying after trying
And
to fight the
preventable
first
death.
one.
At that, see, the thing is, it was preventable. And if I was
Yeah, it
that
was
man,
preventable.
I would have sued the sugar honey iced tea out the city because that was a preventable death.
Yeah,
Christina, they told us that the city didn't want the liability of the homeless.
Well, the
that's what they
city don't
basically
want.
told us.
If you ask me, if we're looking at our local officials in the city, they don't want any responsibilities of our local homeless. All they want to have is a public session, a public announcement. I mean, look at right now. We have so much extra money in Baltimore City for COVID relief. And all
Millions.
you keep hearing, when we had the press conference the other day and they went and asked the mayor, the first thing he told the news people was, "Oh, I plan to end homelessness." Well, sir, I'm in my mind like, how many people have to die when you got about $100 million sitting and talking about getting a hotel, which going to be another problem because
Yeah,
again, They want to recycle our homeless people. They want our homeless people to be at their beckon services and their
Recidivism.
beckon
They're
need.
expecting recidivism
They want to keep them
for
at their
federal
beck and
funding.
call. You don't need no hotels for our homeless people. You need the vouchers. You need to give them somewhere to
But
call their
Christina, what
Right.
home.
they
And
can do is,
how long has the list been closed up in reference to affordable housing now, Yolanda? How long
Affordable
has it been
housing,
closed
Section
up?
8 housing, almost a year now, ain't it?
No,
no,
more
it's
than
been
that.
longer than,
And when they
no,
More
open,
than
see,
it
that.
wasn't
That
even
list has
open
been
that
closed
long.
for a while.
no, see, the thing is that the list is closed for the next 25 years.
Yeah.
But what they do is they do what they call emergency vouchers, what they get from the federal government, and that's why he's giving out those ones to the Ukrainians, because we're no longer eligible for those vouchers. Not the people in the city, but the ones coming in and need a place to stay is eligible for it. But
Right. They
Christina,
make
how hard is it?
exceptions and exemptions. They will
Right.
change the rules when
They
it
changed
comes
the
to
rules for
certain
everybody
things like
but black.
this.
Yep.
But see, Christina, this
They
is the
need
thing.
special
How hard
concessions.
is it to take those two big hotels downtown that's vacant and turn them into one bedroom apartments for our homeless individuals?
Well, the first of all, and I don't want to throw shade on a plan. I don't want to throw shade on a pilot. But the biggest issue that we have in Baltimore City, the mayor can get 2, 3, 4, 5 hotels. If he's not looking at the individuals that's servicing the population, if he's not considering the people that he's putting to take care of these individuals, you're going to have them putting them out the hotels like we dealt with last week. The guy you're going to have people making decisions to put these individuals back in harmful way. How you going to put a person out of a hotel that needs the services of homeless services? Like you
Right.
put them out the hotel, but you didn't give them an alternative. Well,
Right.
okay, we got to put you out this hotel, but it's a bus outside waiting for you to take you to the next level of care.
Right, but that's what I'm
That's when
saying.
you that's when you that's when you're going to see a city that's serious about ending homelessness. He's
Right.
not going to end homelessness in Baltimore City when you got all kind of policies, all kind of instant rules put in place, all kind of discrimination, all type of bullies because you putting security guards that's bullying the homeless people.
Well,
You're
Mm.
you're
well,
putting them you're putting them in more harmful situations than you know. So
well, we
like
we
you
we,
said,
we gotta. I apologize. We gotta wrap things up, Miss Flowers. We only get an hour, and I almost feel like, Donnie. I'm gonna yell out to you, Donnie. I almost feel like C Miles, and want to yell out. We gonna take us another hour, like C Miles used to say on WOLB radio. We gonna take us another hour, but
But we
again,
can do a continuance on
we
next week.
definitely we definitely need to do a part two, and maybe even speak to Donnie about maybe taking another day this week, and allowing us an empty time slot to come on to talk more about this. We got to thank, of course, Donnie Glover for allowing us this platform, and again, we do have to make room for the next program that comes on. But Ms. Flowers, we love you. We will continue to stand with you when it comes to our most vulnerable citizens of
As
this
long as you
city.
fight, we fight.
That's right. That's right.
long as you fight, Jason, and we here for the long haul.
So we got to run because we've taken up a minute of time that we shouldn't have. Folks, don't forget, we are people empowered by the struggle. We are available 24 hours, 7 days a week. We do not take off for our birthday, for Jesus' birthday, for anyone's birthday. We are out there nonstop. Thank you, Yolanda, for that little liner there. And if you want more information about our organization, of course, reach out to us on our website, pebts.org, for more information. Or you could also email us at pebts.org@gmail.com. And of course, you can always reach Ms. Flowers through the Real Care Providers. Just go online on the internet and search Real Care Providers. Uh, um, uh, and you will find all the information in reference to Miss Flowers as well. So we love y'all. I couldn't display all the comments. I thank everybody. There's more comments coming in late. Y'all need to get in earlier. Y'all need to get in these conversations earlier. But again, thank you to Donnie Glover and the whole Black USA .news team for allowing us this opportunity. And family, be blessed and have a good night.